Did you know that a hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas is rumored to be one of the most haunted places in America? Built in 1886, this grand old building wears its years like a badge of honor, gathering more than dust and memories over the past century. Its history reads like a real-life Stephen King novel, peppered with tales of ghosts, spirits, and strange happenings. They say truth is stranger than fiction. Let's explore today. A few years ago, I had the most delightful stay at the 1886 Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. The hotel is famous for being one of the most haunted places in America, and I must say, the reputation is well deserved. The anticipation was high, as I hoped for a spooky encounter during my stay, and the hotel gave me more than I bargained for. Even though some time has passed since my visit, I still eagerly await the day I can return to that intriguing place. The journey there was an adventure in itself, navigating the mountain's twisting roads and finally reaching the splendid Crescent. The thought of the spectral encounters that awaited me had me thrilled about the overnight stay at the haunted hotel. As my travel companions and I entered the hotel, check-in was smooth sailing. We received our room's metallic keys, a charming old-world touch that I absolutely adored. Our room for the next 2 nights was on the 2nd floor, which we reached, lugging our bags up an open staircase. Room 202, our home away from home for the next 2 nights, was delightful. It offered ample space and comfort, including a sitting room with grand windows and a balcony fitted with rocking chairs. Our ghostly adventure began at 9 p.m. with a ghost tour operated by a third-party company. The tour was exceedingly popular and required advance ticket purchase. As the tour guide narrated the hotel's eerie history and shared findings from paranormal research, we traveled through each floor, stopping at various points of interest. At one of these stops, a hallway intersection, I experienced what can only be described as odd. I repeatedly saw a figure appear and disappear from my peripheral vision. Now I've had my share of otherworldly experiences. Like any spirited traveler, I didn't let this unusual event faze me. We simply continued the tour. We ended the tour with an experiment using a ghost hunting tool, particularly illuminating the morgue area. This was followed by a short stint in a chilling room, which was surprisingly less spooky than I had anticipated. That night, I slept well. However, the following night, I was jolted awake by the sound of someone moaning in pain, as if right in the room with me. The terrifying encounter shook me, but I tried to stay logical about it. Yet, the sound was too intense and close, not something one could disregard as a distant noise. As a testament to how thrilled I was, I confess I didn't react the way I should have by documenting the experience. In my disoriented state, I woke my friend Alan, who simply shrugged off the incident and went back to sleep in a typical nonchalant fashion. As the noise receded towards the other room, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something out of the ordinary had occurred. All I can say is that my encounter at the Crescent Hotel was surreal, and it continues to send chills down my spine as I narrate it today. There is a hotel named the Crescent Hotel in Arkansas that has some incredibly strange vibes. It has the power to send spine-chilling shivers down anyone's skin. Then Morris, the charismatic head honcho of this mystical hotel, enters. Not too long ago, something extraordinarily sinister was uncovered. They stumbled upon bottles filled with human body parts, buried in the hotel's premises. Now that's uncannily odd. Numerous events have occurred within the dining room and the ballroom of this hotel named Crescent. These rooms have entertained more than 400 guests, including renowned dignitaries who attended a grand ceremony in the late 1800s. What a blast from the past. Now let's talk about the hotel's aesthetic. If examined closely, the walls are tinted a deep shade of purple, revealing the owner's passionate love for the color. As you cast your gaze astray, this purple theme extends everywhere, giving an illusion of an endless purple infinity. Narrating this might sound ludicrous, but when you walk down the grand hallways, it's as if you're in a scary movie. We ran into a friendly woman who guided the hotel's ghost tours during one such stroll. She had some intriguing stories to share about room 419. Her constant encounters with supernatural entities have led her to believe that this room is a hub for ghostly activity, mostly related to a spirit called Theodora. Her revelations left our hearts pounding. This hotel is not only rich in centuries of history, but also notorious for its hauntings. Stories of peculiar occurrences circulate around the hotel, from guests waking up to neatly folded clothes to items mysteriously moving around. Built in 1886, the Crescent Hotel wasn't just a hotel. It once stood proud as a hospital in the Ozarks. Norman Baker, a charismatic and brilliant man who initially started his career in theater as a magician, founded this hospital. He even owned a radio station that amassed a broad audience and a magazine named TNT. Baker claimed that he had a solution for cancer. However, he ran into significant legal troubles as he was practicing without a medical license. Nevertheless, his appealing persona drew hundreds of sick people desperate for a cure. The hotel even houses jars filled with human organs that were discovered as recently as 2019. The hotel staff came across these items, leading them back to Norman's practices in the 1930s. A seemingly nonchalant manager had come across the burial site where the jars were uncovered. As evening arrived, we retreated to our room. The hotel's silent hallways and its eerie atmosphere amplified the spookiness. Strange noises in the middle of the night gave us goosebumps, yet the comfy bed was a refuge. We even found a cat's tombstone dating back to the 1970s. The church in the backdrop added to the overall eeriness. During our stay, we had a ghost tour led by a man named Mr. Graves. He showcased Norman Baker's invention, which made him a millionaire, an air calliope. He also showed us the room where Baker operated on his patients, now filled with intense energy. We visited the morgue, too, where Mr. Graves spoke of the desperate people who came to Baker seeking a cure for cancer. He also showed us real jars from Baker's hospital days, and the cooler where bodies were stored. Norman Baker's deceit was eventually exposed. He was convicted of mail fraud, and after serving his sentence, he moved to Florida where he died from, ironically, cancer. Our 48-hour stay at this thrilling hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas was unnerving yet enthralling. We said our goodbyes, leaving behind the beautiful yet spooky Crescent Hotel, promising to return another day. My boyfriend and I set on a journey, but this wasn't a leisure trip. It was all about work. Our day was chock-a-block with tasks, and we traveled from one place to another to fix computers. Our last job was in Eureka Springs, and by the time we wrapped it up, we were as tired as you could be. We had decided that once we reached our room, we'd take a little snooze to recharge ourselves for an hour or so. As we entered our room, to the left of the door was a quaint, hip-high table. Now, my boyfriend has diabetes, so he carries with him a small, sturdy cooler that stores his medication that must be kept cool. As we prepared to take our much-needed break, I very carefully placed the cooler in the middle of the table. In our slumber, we were jolted awake approximately 40 minutes later by a terrifying sound. We found the cooler, which was supposed to be on the table, strewn upon the floor. But not just near the table, it was thrown to the opposite wall. There was even a scraped spot on the wall from the impact. It startled us, to say the least. Fortunately, his medication didn't cause a major incident. I distinctly remember placing the cooler securely in the center of the table because his life quite literally depended on it. Phew, thank God his medication has changed now and doesn't require as much cooling before. Following the bizarre incident, we took the ghost tour, indulged in some hearty meals at the restaurant, and even received a lovely caricature of the two of us dining. We also shared our eerie experience during the ghost tour. Not so long ago, just a year ago, my better half and I journeyed to this breathtaking location. Everything about this place was picture perfect. During our stay, 2 incidents stood out from the rest. We spent 2 nights in the hotel's room, known as the most haunted. Here's where things get intriguing. The first peculiar thing happened when I was alone in the room while my wife stepped out on the balcony to smoke. Like the harsh sound of a beast, a growl resonated from close by, no more distance than a couple feet away from me. Wouldn't you find it fascinating that the room's resident ghost was quite the charmer with the ladies when he had been alive? And this ghost had quite a playful sense of humor, too. Now let me share this with you. You see, I wear bifocal glasses all day, every day. I had taken a shower and placed my glasses on the sink counter. Once I was done, they seemed to have vanished into thin air. After wrestling with my memory and recalling what the staff had mentioned about the ghost's mischievous tendencies, I checked my luggage cheekily, Lo and behold, tucked away in a zipped compartment, there were my glasses. Just to clarify, my wife had nothing to do with this little trick. The second incident happened when we were on the balcony, the same one she had gone to for a smoke. It seemed like a quiet night, and all of a sudden, as if someone had turned up the volume of life itself, loud music was playing from all directions. We could hear people laughing, glasses clinking, and faint chatter. Yet it was just us two in that area. The sound ceased as soon as I went inside to grab our camera to capture this strange moment. We later learned that this phantom party phenomenon was not unusual at this hotel. Many other guests had experienced similar incidents. It was believed that the ghosts of the past were reliving their fun-filled moments in this haunted yet charming hotel. We felt lucky to have been a part of it, even if it was just for a brief moment. Sarah Eschel acts as a ghost tour guide at this eerie hotel, fully convinced of the hotel's supernatural claim to fame. Should you query whether the hotel is as haunted now as it was in yesteryears, Sarah would affirm, more than ever before. I believe when we reach out to spirits, we inadvertently invite them to linger. This might hinder their transition to the other side, but this happens because guests are fascinated by them, and the spirits seem to enjoy the attention, at least some of them. Guests at the hotel have reported numerous encounters with the paranormal, with one of the famous spirits being Michael. He was supposedly one of the masons responsible for the hotel's construction in 1885. Legend has it that while working on the roof, he lost his footing, fell, and met his untimely death. Now, his spirit occasionally reveals itself in room 218. Further, from the era when the hotel doubled as Baker's Cancer Hospital, a nurse is occasionally sighted pushing a gurney on the 3rd floor. A ghost known as Theodora can also be glimpsed in room 419, where she introduces herself as a cancer patient before abruptly disappearing. Most of the spirits are playful, at the very least. They simply desire to be recognized. Sarah commented about the spectral residents. They'll make loud noises or close doors, actions within their spectral abilities. They just employ whatever resources they possess. I felt dizzy, cold, and nauseous when I entered the morgue's ice box. I recorded a bright white orb while Sarah spoke about her previous encounters. Naturally, I asked Sarah to share her most chilling experience within the hotel's walls. Her response sent a cold shiver down my spine. The most frightening thing that happened to me was during my first tour here. What I saw when I magnified a photograph of a mirror on the 3rd floor was my youngest child. I could see my son's reflection in the mirror, along with 3 women beside him, and my husband whispering in his ear. I showed the photo to my husband, jokingly asking what our son was doing, and my husband responded with a serious tone, "Don't laugh, that's not me." Sarah concluded her story by mentioning a curious discovery. I had not a single photograph of that man from the tour. More intriguing was the subsequent photograph I took, referring to the picture she snapped immediately after, where the man was no longer present. My son was in the same position, the 3 women still standing in the exact spot. The only person missing was the man. Hence, Sarah's chilling experience only adds to the many mysterious occurrences at this haunted hotel. Even Sarah, who spends her days among them, is still amazed and frightened by their mischievous antics. There's a bunch of samples that we've kept in our little house of secrets for folks to peek at during their walkabouts. And oh boy, isn't it a thrill to try and figure out what's stashed in there, Sarah expressed with a twinkle in her eye. So the next time you're planning a stay at a hotel, consider doing some research on its history. You never know, you might just find yourself amid a real-life ghost story. Now if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.